Hey folks, thank you all so much for joining me today. We have our weekly FLSA update of the violations that were reported by the Department of Labor. So let's get to it. So it was by no means a small week, but just four different types of agencies came up this week: a healthcare company, two staffing agencies in different locations. They were not the same company, and a manufacturing company. So how many people were affected? Well, 25 at the healthcare company, 289 at the staffing agency at the first company, and then that second company had 100. And then this manufacturing company that came up on the breaking news outlet that we had today, they said over 7,500, but they didn't give an accurate number of how many people. They just said over 7,500. So clearly not a small number. So what did that healthcare company do? Well, they basically paid straight time for all hours worked and didn't pay for auto-deducted lunch breaks when the employees worked during them, which basically ends up with them not being paid appropriate overtime. They also stated there were some record-keeping violations, which tells me they probably didn't have the appropriate records on hand, the appropriate timesheets and, the required documents that they need as part of record keeping, but also they may not have had timesheets on all people. The first staffing agency, which is again a separate company, failed to pay overtime for hours worked in a work week, and they paid a combination of hourly and piece rate, but they failed to track the hours worked and didn't pay for overtime, which the people worked for over 40. And this company also failed to keep accurate records, clearly because they weren't tracking hours on these people. The next staffing agency, which is completely different organization, they failed to combine hours worked by employees at several different locations. So if your employees are going to be traveling to different sites, punching in and out of those different sites physically, and their time is being allotted to that company, not in combination, they are definitely going to have some problems, especially if they work over 40 hours. So this staffing agency failed to combine the hours worked at multiple locations to figure out they were working overtime in the work week. And this one should be no surprise to you, but it kind of is to me because, still it's a pretty sizable judgment. This manufacturing company was purposefully removing time off of employees' time cards for every single person every single day. So their timekeeper was either coached or they were doing what they thought was correct, which was absolutely not, going in there and removing any time that the employee worked over their scheduled shift time. Plus, this company wasn't paying their employees who were dealing with some pretty dangerous chemicals that, are hazardous to the human being, to don and doff those PPE uniforms, meaning putting them on and taking them off. But on top of that, they weren't paying for them to quote unquote shower to remove the dangerous toxins off of their body to prevent any sort of health issues. So clearly some issues came up with this manufacturing company for sure. So how much was paid in back wages and liquidated damages? Well, the healthcare company paid over 45,000. The first staffing agency, almost $1 million, so over $900,000 paid in liquidated damages and back wages. The other staffing agency paid over 100,000, and this one was definitely the jalopy, a manufacturing company, this battery making company, one of the largest in the world. That's what they say on their website. Over $22 million paid in back wages and liquidated damages. So certainly not a small week, and definitely a historic one because on the website, the Department of Labor said specifically that this $22 million judgment was one of the largest in history. It's up there for sure. So what's the average payout per employee? I mean, look, these numbers are pretty small considering what was just forked out in money, but a little over 1,800 on average for healthcare, a little over 3,000 for staffing agency, the first one, a little over 1,100 bucks on the other staffing agency, and then of course 2,900 plus for the manufacturing employees. Now that's not to say that's what each person gets paid. That's just the average of the people affected by what the judgment was paid out to them. So what do we learn this week? Well, it's crazy because I'm starting to feel like a broken record in a sense where you just need to get a timekeeping program that automatically tracks the hours worked and the overtime. There's no reason anybody should be having to track the hours manually. And, there's people out there who would just never invest in technology. And that's just a dangerous game to be playing because you have to have someone that knows every rule and knows what they're doing and doesn't make a mistake. I also have a strong opinion about auto lunch breaks. I'm not sitting here saying that you shouldn't do it, but in my opinion, if I were consulting you, I would tell you to never do auto lunch breaks. To me, they're just too dangerous. And if your employees don't follow the rules and don't tell you, this can come back to bite you later. So this healthcare company was having auto lunches deducted from pay automatically, but if the employee worked through it and didn't tell them, well, clearly it's not getting fixed. So you need to have a pretty airtight procedure if you're going to do this, and you need to make sure that every employee knows what they need to do if you're going to have it. And of course, if you're paying piece rates, track the hours worked, as employees will do overtime when working over 40 hours. And don't remove employees' time under any circumstances. I don't know what possesses a person to think that that's okay for them to just go in there and remove time. I've heard stories of that before, and I've read some of these cases to see that that's happening out there. And my goodness, I don't know what is going on in somebody's mind when they think this is okay. You're playing with people's money, you're playing with their time. People don't go to work for free, and if you're going to steal money from them, something like this can come up pretty easily and bite you in the rear end. And also, if you have employees that are wearing PPE to work, you need to look up the rules specifically, and I'll probably link something in the video below for you to help you with that. So, the hope is you can use that article to understand exactly what to do when a person is donning or doffing personal protective equipment, or PPE for short, to protect themselves from hazardous chemicals or hazardous conditions. So you want to make sure that your pay practices are sound with the law, and specifically with that in regards to the time paid. And that's all we got. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. I really appreciate you sticking around and taking a look at these updates with me. Please like and subscribe. If you'd like to donate, I would appreciate it so much. Your support of this channel helps me tremendously. All this content is funded by me, Workforce 2080. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great rest of your week and a great weekend ahead. And happy Mother's Day to all those lovely, beautiful mothers out there that made the life possible for all us people that just have so much to be grateful for. So y'all take care.